One phrase you're going to hear a lot is eye test. Well, this team, they passed. What is the eye test really? Do you know? I don't really know, but I do know we have a ranking of 5 teams that right now, for me, are majoring in the eye test. So if you disagree with this, that's okay, because we have different sets of eyeballs. So your eye test is going to be different than my eye test, but I want to give this precursor before we get to that whole eye test discussion down the line here. This is the framework I want us to have before we move forward here. So my eye test top 5, it's more art than science. We don't apologize for this. Starting with our 5th ranked team, according to the eye test, strictly the eye test, is Alabama. All right, now for Alabama, to me, it's the firepower plus the game control. This is not to reference too many statistics because, of course, it is about what your eyeballs say, but my eyeballs, when I watch Alabama, say they've had the ball for a long time. And you go check your eyeballs, and exactly, Alabama has had the football for a long time against both Vandy, Georgia, and Missouri, 3 teams that major in controlling the football. Alabama had the ball for 35-plus minutes in all 3 of those games. So you have that part of it, and you pair it with the firepower that Ty Simpson and that offense possesses. We said it during our prediction show for the Bama-Tennessee game. You're watching Bama do what they do against Missouri, and maybe it's just a me thing, but I didn't even really notice that Ryan Williams hadn't touched the football. I get he's dinged up. I get it's a thing where he's being used a little bit more sparingly, and all. I understand that. I understand all that, but still I was like, Ty Simpson's, even with the pressure he's getting, spinning it. It's the high gear moments you see from their offense that makes you feel excited about what they're going to be here down the stretch. Any game that Alabama gets into, they can do game control, they can do firepower, pick your poison. Alabama, based on what my eyes tell me, number 5 in the entire country as of right now. Now, number 4, if you don't think Indiana's good at football, that's on you, dude. That's on you. Like, I saw them go out there against Oregon, one of the best rosters in college football, and play matchup ball and win their matchup routinely to then get a win in Autzen, one of the toughest places in college football to play. Fernando Mendoza, I've said it many times, I'll say it again, delivers tremendous passes as well as wholesome interviews. 2 things he majors in, and that has allowed Indiana to be as good as they are. Now, if you were to go to resume, this is not a resume ranking. A lot of people do that. We're not doing that right now. If you were to go to resume and give Indiana credit for the teams they have beaten, they spanked a top 10 Illinois team when they played them, and they just beat a top 3 Oregon team at their place, which, again, if we're going off eye test, you don't take that too much into account, but your eyeballs do tell you the team they're playing is pretty freaking good in Oregon and what Illinois was when they played them. Indiana made light work of, really, to be honest, both those teams. Now, is Oregon a team that we're thinking less of because of how they looked against Indiana? I don't think that should be the case when you talk about the Ducks, but still, based on what my eyes tell me, the physicality Indiana plays with, the personnel they have on the perimeter, how good they are on defense, the way they got after Dante Moore. My eyes tell me Indiana's a top 5 team in college football. I have them number 3 in my rankings because we're factoring in resume as well. But Indiana, they're a wagon, and if you think differently, I don't think you're really watching the Hoosiers. Ohio State is number 3 to me. Ohio State, we picked yesterday to win the national championship. Spoiler alert. So this isn't me talking down on Ohio State. Some of this is I'm waiting for the offense to open it up even more. But when you see the offense open it up, they look freaking awesome. We just haven't seen as much of that to this point, which is no fault of their own. Had 3 drives against Illinois that were 35 yards or less. So we're not opening it up when we have that kind of game flow going our way for the Buckeyes. On top of that, why would you open it up? The defense is electric. It's borderline comical what they're doing on the goal line to teams. Again, going off our eyes, not going off the numbers. Illinois is running trick plays where they hand the ball off to a back who's lined up as a fullback, who then goes into the option, who pitches it out to that running back. That's what it takes to score inside the 5 against Ohio State. Eye test. Again, that to me feels pretty telling as to the level of just suffocation they're operating with on the defensive side. And then you go back to the offensive side and you say, okay, well, when we do see them go a little bit into a higher gear offensively, Jeremiah Smith, once again, checking that eye test of, probably the best pound-for-pound talent in college football. Oh, by the way, Carnell Tate, he's a freak show. Julian Sayin doesn't look like he's a first-year starting quarterback out there. Now, they're calling it for him like he's a first-year starting quarterback, which is something we'll touch on a little bit later in the show as to how good he's eventually going to be. But he doesn't look like he's out there half-stepping by any stretch of the imagination. When he throws the football, it is with conviction. The Minnesota game is a great example of this. Whether it was that corner shot where he throws it to Jeremiah Smith in the end zone, that was a ball he put on a freaking frozen rope. Whether it was the deep shot to Carnell Tate where he's not breaking stride. Whether it's the goal line fade to Jeremiah Smith against Illinois. Like all these things that I see Julian Sayin do, it looks routine for him. Now, is it going to be routine the rest of the way? It's going to have to be if you want to win the national championship, but I don't have any hesitations about how good Julian Sayin is going to be because of the small sample size I've gotten where he's pushing the ball downfield. He looks freaking good doing it. Very quietly, Ohio State, top 15 in America when it comes to yards per pass. Again, very quiet, very hush-hush, but it is what it is, Ohio State. For me right now, top 3 in America when it comes to the eye test. They will finish higher than that based on what I project them to do if we continue to give you these eye test rankings. Now, I understand we'll get some pushback on this. That's more than fine. If you watch Texas Tech play football, they look like a top 2 team in the country. Texas Tech is number 2 in my eye test rankings. The closest game they've had has been 24 points. Again, in favor of the Red Raiders. Both of the games they've won by 24 points, which is their smallest margin of victory, have been against undefeated teams at their place. At Utah, 24 points. At Houston, 24 points. Every other game has been much more boring than that. They can run the ball. They can throw the ball. They have legitimate firepower. Doesn't matter who's playing quarterback. They have the number 1 rush defense in America, giving up less than 3 yards a carry. Those numbers are supporting what I'm already seeing in that front 7. The way they are just bullying teams up front. You say, JD, well, it's the Big 12. It's the Big 12, but Utah's also a bully. Utah also has one of the top offensive line prospects in this upcoming draft. Like, Utah's not a slouch on the offensive side of the football in the trenches, and Texas Tech bullied up front. So my eyes tell me Texas Tech, the margin of victory, the play style, the versatility. I have them number 2 when it comes to the eye test right now, according to our eye test rankings that are, again, more art than science, but we don't apologize for that. Texas Tech, to me right now, number 2 in America based on what my eyes tell me. Now, number 1 in my eye test rankings also happen to be the Miami Hurricanes, which are number 1 in my nothing but ball rankings. When I just watch Miami play football, take the resume out of it. The Florida game is, I think, a good win when you got it. I think the win over Florida State was a good win when you got it. The win over Notre Dame, a good win when you got it. All that, I think, is true. But with that being said, take the logos off the teams they're playing. I feel like I'm watching a Nat Geo documentary. I mean, it's just absolute physicality. It is domination. It is tenacity. It is all those things. It is big bodies moving other big bodies on the other line of scrimmage. It is just, it's ridiculous, dude. It is domination. Francis Mawanoa, Ruben Bain, Mario Cristobal compared them at practice going one-on-one to Jurassic Park, which it looks Jurassic Park-ish whenever they're out there against the opposition. The way that they're able to play physically up front in the trenches, and then on the other side of that, have a legitimate deep passing game with Carson Beck and Tony and all the weapons. They're so versatile. They've been so dominant up front, and then also the filter of the teams they've played to this point. Say what you want about Florida, still a good line of scrimmage team. And don't just listen to what Cristobal says, listen to what Elko says, listen to what Brian Kelly says. Like, those are legitimately talented trench units that Florida's working with. Miami made them look pretty pedestrian. Snatched their soul in the fourth quarter. The win over Notre Dame. We'll see what Notre Dame is here down the stretch. Also still super freaking talented. It's the filter plus the way it looks. Obviously, with it being the eye test rankings, Miami to me is number 1 in our eye test rankings through 7 weeks of the college football season. So Miami at 1, Tech at 2, Ohio State at 3, Indiana at 4, and Alabama at 5. And our eye test top 5 as it stands right now through 7 weeks of the college football season.